Now, here's your host, Paul Blair.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, the Cowboys will be racking up the frequent flyer miles during the month of September, but this week they were at home playing host to the Bears of Southwest Missouri State. And what would have to be considered a must-win game for the Pokes, that's exactly what they went out and did, rolling 35-7 over the Bears. And Coach Bob Simmons with us again every week. Congratulations on an outstanding victory last Saturday night.
Thanks, Paul. It was great to sing that victory song. It was what we needed. I really thought our kids played well on both sides of the ball, came in the locker room, sung that victory song for the first time. That song sounded kind of different. So
I'm glad they can play better. I'm glad they can play better than they can sing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, after the emotional game last week, how did you get the guys refocused over the last week of practice, get them ready for this game?
Well, I really think you got to give credit to the offensive defensive staff. I thought they did a great job of really getting the players mentally prepared to play, coming up with a great game plan on both sides of the ball. So I thought my staff did an excellent job, although during the first half of that ball game I thought we were a little bit flat. We sort of picked it up at halftime, but for the most part I thought the staff did an excellent job.
Well, I know Terry Don Phillips and President Halligan had a nice little present for you here. The first game ball marking the first victory as head coach. You had to feel good about that little token for your mantelpiece.
I tell you, I do. This is going to sit on my mantelpiece, especially coming from Terry Don Phillips and Dr. Halligan, something that I always cherish as a head football coach.
Well, we'll be back to take a look at the first half highlights right after this message. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show, and let's get right to the highlights. Cowboys winning the toss, chose to defer and let the defense set the stage.
Yeah, Paul, we wanted to put the defense on the field first. We had played good the first ball game with Tulsa, so we wanted the defense been playing well, and we wanted to put the defense on the field and see can we create a turnover. We talked about creating a turnover during the course of the week, and here what you're going to see on that first pass attempt, Lewis Adams does a great job of reading the quarterback, coming over the backside and picking that ball up. So it really worked out to our advantage to put the defense on the field and come up with a big play.
Well, they did. Great play by Lewis Adams and really great coverage. There are 4 Cowboys right back there surrounding the intended receiver.
Well, the quarterback's a little bit short and it's hard for him to see those guys. That was Lewis' third interception. Now it gives us great field position on offense, and we throw an out cut, which we get 9 yards off of, and puts us in a great situation being 2nd and 1 here. A little bit disappointed that we didn't get the first down because we could have won in force. We wanted 6 rather than 3, but that was a good defensive play on their part. I think we had a blocking misassignment there on this particular play. We sent in Lawson Bond. He did a nice job getting us 3 points on the board first.
Well, taking over in great field position. The Cowboys settling for 3, as you said. 12:07 mark of the first quarter, and the Pokes on top 3-0. After the kickoff, the defense sets the stage once again.
Yeah, I tell you, the defense has been a good job playing a run. They wanted to spread us out and really single block us up front. And when that happens, your defensive ball players got to do a great job of getting off the blocks. And the defensive line with Jamal Williams and Alamu Bailey, Norman Williams, those kids did a nice job of just fronting up tackles. We had 3 or 4 people around the ball, which we talked about all night. And here, this is our first return. We really worked on blocking and returning. Andre makes a real nice decision, gets up inside the wall. And now what we got to do is look back upfield. But this is a great return on his part. He averaged about 15.5 yards all night on returns. So that's an excellent job of just fielding the catch, making the right decision, and getting up in the wall and making something happen.
This, of course, is our special teams play of the game. And as you mentioned, Andre Richardson, 3 punt returns, a little over 45 yards total. And the Cowboys offensively taking over in great field position once again.
Again, field position is very, very important. We come out here with just a basic sweep to who's that?
Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson. On that particular play, he wasn't out of bounds. You got to see where he is on the football field. But he ran hard all night long, and Andre went in, did the same thing. We come back with what we call our quarterback draw here. Tony has got to get a little bit more yardage than that, but what we end up, again, selling for a field goal here. Lawson is an excellent weapon for us in our kicking game.
Well, Mizzou came up with a fluke shovel pass to take the lead 7-6, but the Cowboy offense quick to answer.
We came back on the field, and again, with the two backs we got, David is running hard, he's running aggressive, he's running through tackles here. You see it takes about 3 or 4 people to get him down. Again, he makes people miss. This is Andre actually ran through blocks, made the free safety miss, and he actually shows you what kind of speed he has. This is the longest run of the night, 69-yard touchdown run.
And it's also our offensive play of the game. We'll see the highlights right here. Andre, great job of breaking a tackle there in the backfield,
right.
Breaks another would-be tackler. I believe that's the free safety, and then it's just a track meet up the sideline. You got to feel great having 2 tailbacks like Thompson and Richardson that you can keep them fresh and not really lose anything.
That's a great advantage to our offense to have 2 kids like that. And we're trying to find some way to get both those kids on the field at the same time, but it does keep them fresh. When one goes in for 4 or 5 plays, we'll put the next guy in, and he'll go and make something special happen.
Defense back on the field, and once again, taking over right where they left off.
Again, the one thing that you got to do on defense, you have to control the run, and I thought our kids did that quite well. I thought the 4-down linemen up front really played a physical ball game. You can see Grossfield here coming off his block and making sacks, and everybody celebrating together. We force him to kick again here. I think this is a ball that really hits the ground. We got to make a smart decision, but that ball bounces back in our favor. We actually picked up about 20 yards on that without returning it.
A lot of happy fans here at Lewis Field, and the Cowboys taking over in great field position. Now later on in the first half, Tony Jones back to pass.
Tony makes a smart decision, and he pulls the ball down, and see this, he's got a great opening. Again, he wants to get what he can before he get any injury, but that's a smart decision. And we give it back to our tailback, which is our bread and butter play here. And he does a great job of running. This is, again, David Thompson. He's running very strong off tackle here.
Well, that's one thing here, Thompson, we see up the middle for 3 yards. I know you had a couple of design quarterback draws in, but Jones really did a good job from the QB position, throwing the ball effectively, as we're seeing here to Kent Luck.
I tell you, for the most part of the night, he did a nice job throwing. Kent makes a nice catch on here and gets some plus yards on the throw and catch. Again, this is a smart decision on Tony. He feels pressure. I think he gained 75 yards all night here, but that's a smart decision. You can see here now, instead of running out of bounds, we want Tony to turn this ball up. He's don't get in the habit of running out. Straighten up, because he actually could have scored on this particular play. But we come back and run our ISO play here. We don't make it, and we end up hitting the crossbar on this field goal.
Well, the kick looked good from my vantage point, but it did hit the upright. Dropped 13-7, and that brings us to an end of the first half highlights. We'll be right back to get into the second half right after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. And Coach, offensively and defensively just dominated the game on both sides of the football, but you get to the first half, you look up on the clock and see a 13-7 score. What did you say to the team at halftime?
Well, I had some choice words for the whole football team, because I really felt that we didn't play our best. And so I just told them that we got to go out and we're going to receive the ball just like we did. You see here David going down the sideline, and what I wanted was a score. I wanted to play like a Division I team and stop making mistakes. And so we came out the second half and really put a nice drive together. I think the offensive staff did a nice job of making adjustments at halftime like we had to do, and come out and taking the ball right down the field. You see, this is
that's David.
That's David on a long run, and it just really boiled down to is what they were doing is what we were doing. So we made our adjustments, and you see Tony here just running a quarterback draw, which we ran the first half, not for a touchdown, but the second half we came back for a score.
Choose to go for 2 here.
Yeah, we have that chart just like everybody else. It says when you're behind, at certain times you should go for 2, and we had a 2-point play called, and I think Andre executed it very well. And again, we're starting to play pretty good football here in the second half, and our offensive line is really starting to take over. Our backs are continuing to run hard, and we really want to try to end up on a positive note. And you can see David running very, very hard right here.
Well, Thompson just had a tremendous night, had 178 yards, I believe, running the football. And then you throw in the fact that we almost had 300-yard rushers for the first time in Oklahoma State history.
Yeah, that's a plus. When you have a guy like Tony Jones who can add in as another running back, that really helps. But one of the things that we got to continue doing, as you see here, we got to continue playing defense. Your defense has got to be dominant. Our kids played well all night, really not limiting them to first down situations. And again, this is a nice effort by Andre Richardson. I think that was about an 11-yard return, and he really gave us positive field position.
Well, I believe there were 3 incidents in the second half where we turned the ball over or they came up with a big play, and every time the Cowboy defense answered. Once again here, I believe we're looking at 3 and out on the incomplete pass.
And that's key for your defense. You are going to have sudden change situations in the ballgame, and the defense has got to rise to that occasion. And our kids really talked about that, went in, stopped them, 3 and out, forced a long field goal, and didn't give up any score. Again, we get back on offense here, and we start. One thing that we do well is run the ball. You see a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
This is just ball security. We talk about not having turnovers. And again, that's a sudden change situation.
Right.
Again, our defense come back in here.
Mm-hmm.
They rally. They do a nice job of stopping them here. This is a great play by Alibu Bailey where he tips the ball and then interception on a great effort play.
Well, as you said, we had a couple of turnovers here. Each time the Cowboy defense came out and answered. And great concentration here by Bailey, first to make the tip and then to concentrate and make the interception.
That's a nice job. That's a second effort play. And we have to play that way all the time. Now we get the ball back here, and again, now we just start to run our offense here. Again, Andre not going down. Second effort plays. We talked about doing it all night. Kids continue to run hard and continue to dominate the line of scrimmage.
Going for it here on 4th and 1.
Yeah, I just felt that we had control of the line of scrimmage, and we went on 2 there to soften. Here you see Tony make another positive decision, getting positive yards, keeping the drive alive is what we talk about doing. This is a great run by David, right up the gut, a draw play. We've been blocking it well all night.
Good lead block here by Grenier.
Great line execution. I wanted Grenier to stay up, but this is good explosion.
23-yard touchdown run there by David. Touchdown. Yeah. Extra point conversion will be good, and now in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys have jumped out to a 28-7 lead, so the defense comes right back and immediately continues to keep pressure on Southwest Missouri.
Well, one of the things we talked about all night is that we were in that situation before, and you have to learn from your mistakes, and you don't want to, when you got a guy down, what you want to do is keep him down. And so the defense went back in and continued, as you said, to keep pressure on the passer to make him overthrow. And again, you see where we went in with 3 and out, really forced a punt. That's more of a punt safe situation. Give the ball back to our offense. Here's a return situation. I'm sorry. Again, this is Andre. Andre does a great job of getting positive yards. Our goal in our punt return situation is to average 10. We average 15. Great run by David. Great second effort.
Then Thompson takes a breather and come right back with Andre Richardson.
Andre Richardson. He runs through tackles, runs over people. He crawls. This is a draw play. I think this is Andre.
David Thompson.
This is David. This is an excellent run by David here, staying in bounds, getting what he can. He had an excellent ball game. Matter of fact, both kids had an excellent game. This is a great run by David. People think he's down. That's Andre. They both look the same here.
Well, this is another back-to-back broken tackles by Andre.
This is an exceptional run, and that happens when you have 2 guys that are fresh. This is a nice decision by Strickland throwing to David and letting him do what he does best. When you get a good back in the open field like that, get him the ball quick and let him make some things happen.
Well, Strickland obviously having a big lead, getting a chance to bring in the backup quarterback and give him a little bit of that experience. Needs to get the poise that obviously a veteran QB has. I thought a great decision there by Alonzo Mays, not making that block, which would have been a clip.
You're absolutely right. We talk about making the right decision, and Alonzo Mays did that. Alonzo played pretty well in this ball game.
Well, obviously real happy after the win, and some other guys had great games. Pfeiffer, Mays, and Luck had some nice catches down the stretch. R.W. McQuarters, we didn't see the highlight of it, but made his first career interception, and Boogie Johnson ran well down the stretch. Well, we'll be back in a moment to take a look at the OSU training staff, that guys that keeps taping them up and putting them back on the field right after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Jeff Fair has been the head trainer here at Oklahoma State for over 20 years. I can remember as a player I had a standing reservation daily to get both ankles, both wrists, and a knee taped by the doc himself. Well, being head trainer and part of the training staff is a multi-task job, not just rehabilitating, not just taping, but also monitoring the dehydration and the heat during training camp. In this feature, Tom Dorado will take us behind the scenes and look at Jeff Fair in the Oklahoma State training camp.
Well, most of us have a number of ways to beat the heat at this time of the afternoon. The options for these young men behind me, well, they're pretty limited. But thanks to Dr. Jeff Fair and his highly trained staff, work continues despite temperatures hovering around the 100-degree mark. Jeff, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, the dog days of summer really take a toll on the players and the coaches.
It's really been hot out here, Tom, in the hundreds for quite some time now. And our main objective is to make sure we keep our athletes acclimatized and also watered down so they don't get any heat problems.
You mentioned the water. How much water do you go through each day?
Oh, somewhere around over 100 gallons. We fill up our coolers out here at least once, sometimes twice, so we use quite a bit of water.
You're working with different types of coolers this year. Explain.
We've got what we call water caddies this year. They actually have an electric pump in them that we can use to keep the water cold, plus the fact it's a lot more hygienic. The athletes don't put their mouth on the water bottles, things like that, so we make sure we keep it clean.
And one of the pluses, I guess, for this particular cooler is that you can practice, take breaks as you practice. You don't necessarily, on days where it's not real hot, have to take a full-fledged break.
Well, the coaches are really good about it, Tom. They let them get a drink of water anytime they're actually not being coached or actually practicing themselves. When they stand in line, they're more than welcome to get a drink of water, and we encourage that.
Each and every player is monitored prior to, throughout the practice, and after practice for dehydration. And fortunately, although heat is seriously considered out here, we haven't had many heat-related problems.
We've been real lucky. In fact, I've got a sign in my student trainer's locker room that says heat injuries can be prevented. And we spend a lot of time making sure we do prevent them. We actually have the kids weigh in before practice every day, and then they weigh in after practice. And what we're checking for is how much weight loss they've lost during practice. Now, you'll talk to some of the athletes and they'll say, oh, I lost 6 or 8 pounds. Well, that's not real body weight. That's all water weight. We try to make sure that they gain that back over the night, and when they come back to practice the next day, they're back to their weight they originally started with the day before.
Jeff, back in the old days and back in your day, my day, salt pills, that was the big thing as far as trainers are concerned when the sun came out and the pads went on. Still into that now?
It used to be you want to drink water, they'd tell you go suck on a rock or something like that. You didn't get water during practice. And it used to be we used to take a lot of salt pills. And we know now that salt pills are not necessary. As long as you salt your food, drink plenty of fluids, you should be in good shape, and make sure the kids get a lot of water during practice.
You mentioned your staff before. As usual, you have impressive credentials up and down the staff roster.
Well, we're very lucky. We've got 2 really fine assistants. Ray Abbott, who's my assistant that takes care of women's basketball, helps with football, and also works with softball. And then I've got Steve York that works with football and also travels with basketball.
On a different subject, the rain tent across the field. That created a lot of attention. Tell us how the rain tent made its way over to the practice field.
Just so happened that I was working the 4th of July with the Noon Lions Club, and the Chamber of Commerce had it out there at the 4th of July at the lake. And I ran into people there and convinced them that it would be a good PR move to have it let the athletes wear it or use it during practice.
Now, we've seen units go in there, we've seen coaches go in there, we've seen one individual player go in there, but it has, if nothing else, a mental plus to it that it is cooler underneath that mist.
It's actually about 30 degrees cooler underneath there. When the wind's blowing a little bit and that mist is coming out, it's actually about 30 degrees cooler. Plus it helps them regulate their temperature a little more. So during our breaks, you'll see us use it, or if we have an athlete that's having heat problems, we'll take him over there in there.
And no matter how bad it gets out here on the grass field, we always know that it can be a lot hotter over there in Lewis Field.
A lot hotter, Tom. It's probably 20 to 30 degrees hotter over there on the AstroTurf, just because the AstroTurf absorbs the heat and just radiates it right back up to where the players are.
You know, Paul, we're fortunate to have a guy like the Doc. He and his staff does a great job.
Each and every week, Coach Simmons and his staff get a chance to break down the films and come up with some of the most valuable players of that week's preparation and game. We call it the Cowboy Coach's Honor Roll. And this week, Coach?
Yeah, I tell you, this week we had a lot of guys play good on offense. Again, Andre Richardson had an exceptional game. I want to mention both guys because I thought David Thompson did play well, but we felt that Andre Richardson played great. Alonzo Mays was our lineman award. We thought that he's starting to come around now. He's doing both blocking, did an exceptional job. On defense, Mo Green, the defensive line played well, but we thought Lorenzo Green had an exceptional job with 5 tackles and 3 assists. And then our special team player, Lawson Vaughn, he did a nice job of making all the extra points, made 2 out of 3 field goals for us. We thought he deserved that award. And then our rookie, Jack Golden, we thought he really did a nice job of preparing our offense to play this week, really our defense to play. And our scout team players, Terrell Knowles, who got the award before, and he's doing a great job for us.
Well, this week the Cowboys on the road once again, traveling to Laramie to play the Wyoming Cowboys. They're coming off a big win over Hawaii.
Or you're absolutely right. What we got to become are the road warriors, and we got to learn how to play on the road. Joe Tiller, the head football coach of Wyoming, has done an excellent job there. They lost their first game with Air Force, which was away from home, but they went out and recruited a junior college quarterback, Josh Walden, I think, and he's thrown for over 400 and rushed for another 100 as I read the paper. And so what I look for from Wyoming is a wide open attack from them from an offensive standpoint, and basically look for a 4-3 from them on defense.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of the Bob Simmons Show. We'd like to thank you for joining us and invite you back again next week as the Cowboys travel to Laramie and take on Wyoming. Good night.